Hey YouTube, Brian from channel Huckster here. Today I'm going to be bringing my updated version for my Dark Magician deck that I posted a few months back. I mean, everybody knows Dragoon's the hottest card right now in Yu-Gi-Oh! So obviously making an updated deck profile for its home deck was inevitable. So without wasting time, we'll just get into it. Obviously, being Dark Magician, you're still going to run the 3 Dark Magician. You know, obviously the deck revolves around this monster. You're always summoning him out and all that. Next card, you have to obviously play the 1 Red Eyes Black Dragon. I'm so glad I get to play this one specifically. This is the one I opened up in a tin back in 2002. Kept nice all these years, and it's really good to just pull it out of my personal binder and be able to actually play it in my favorite deck. I'm really happy specifically I get to use this one. And I know, again, the controversial card from before, Dark Magician Girl. I still like this card. I'll stand by her being a plus off of Soul Servant. She also is needed if you want to use the secondary floating effect of the Dark Magicians. And I mean, you're playing some of the most iconic monsters from Duel Monsters with Dark Magician Red Eyes. You have to throw Dark Magician Girl in. And really, she's not that bad. I think people overhype how bad she actually can brick in the deck. Actually bumping up to 3 from my previous build of only using 2, Princess Illusion Magician. While what I said before still sticks, you don't really need Dark Magician in your hand anymore. You'd rather send it off of a card we'll get to. Now, the fact that she is just a free body on board, and her effect is not once per turn. You can just throw 1 down. If you have another, throw another. Go into Verde Anaconda. Boom, you have your Dragoon on the field. And, again, she also has the mini Honest-like effect, increasing a Dark Spellcaster, so even if they try to swing over your Dragoon, he is a Dark Spellcaster. You could boost it up to another 2,000 off of what it'd probably have as 4,000 for the negate, giving you a 6k monster that's pretty hard to hit over. So she's been bumped up. Great card. I'm really glad I was able to bring back my 3rd copy and actually justify it. Another 3 of, obviously, Magician Souls. I know this card's still expensive. I know a budget alternative version is Jester Confit. Just to kind of put that other extra little body on board. It's not a bad option. I don't play it because I do have these cards, and if you really do want to play this deck to its maximum potential, you do need Magician Souls. Same as before, this card gives you extra draw power, it gets you a body on board, it dumps one of your monsters to the graveyard. It is everything this deck needs. Next up, of course, you're still running the Stratos of the deck. 3 Magician's Rod. On normal summon, lets you get any of your spells or traps that you will need for your combos to set up your board. It's standard card. Everybody knows what this card does. I still run Spellbook Magician of Prophecy. I know some people have cut it. Some people, they don't like it because, it's easy impermanence bait or Veiler bait or Ash bait and all that. I'm okay with that because worst case scenario, they stop your monster's effect, but then you still have a monster on board to go into Anaconda, and now you stopped them from ashing or, Veilering your Anaconda, possibly, if that's the only Veiler, obviously, in the hand. But I'm really okay with that. And then, best case scenario, you get your draws and get all your stuff. So, I still really like the Spellbook little engine that, with this and the 2 spells and the Link Monster. And last, Phantasme. Even more important than he was before, he's still the level 7, he's still the Dark, he's still the Dragon, an Effect Dragon specifically for Dragoon if you don't have Red Eyes. So this card just got even better, obviously, with Red Eyes Dragoon in the deck. So pretty similar to my monster count as before, really just kind of took out the Buster Whelp kind of Union Carrier combo. But other than that, monsters are still pretty much the same. So next up is the Spell and Trap lineup. Pretty much similar stuff too. You're obviously still playing the 3 circles. Lets you, excavate your cards. Lets you banish when a Dark Magician is summoned. Easily the best spell in the deck. If you really want to kind of know more, just in case, like what these cards do, if this is maybe your first time getting into Dark Magician, my other video from about 2 months ago really kind of goes into the effects of the card. So if you're really looking into that, that's where I would suggest looking through the effects. I just figure that most people at this point already know what most of these, if not all of these cards do. Second best spell in the deck, Soul Servant. Still running it, lets you stack your deck to use Circle, lets you get additional draws when you have Dark Magician and Dark Magician Girl. Super good card, easily a 3-of staple in the deck. Still keeping from my previous, I'm still running 2 Secrets of Dark Magic. You can drop this card down to 1. I wouldn't recommend getting it any lower than that. You open up a Phantasma and a Dark Magician, you can go into Dragoon with this. We do run the Imduck Link monster, so if you worst case scenario, you need to turn a Dark Magician into that, and then have the Dark Magician come back with Eternal Soul, or maybe another one in your hand, you can make Dragoon. So I think it's still a very good card to have. And of course, the spell of the hour being Red Eyes Fusion. Obviously, you send this card off of Verde Anaconda to bring out Dragoon. Some people run 3. I really don't think you do. It just kind of makes your other copies bricks. You really don't need the 3. And, being able to really have its, effect to stop you from being able to summon any other monsters other than Dragoon, like, you'd rather just copy with Anaconda. Obviously, since I ran the Blue Boy, still running the Spellbook engine. Simple, search, or search. Use that to get rid of it, get your draws. And still sticking with draws, I know that Allure of Darkness isn't played as much in some, but I still love the card in the deck. Like I said, Dark Magician needs that draw power, so it's still there. And of course, if I always can fit it, I love Upstart, probably one of my top 10 favorite cards in the game. So just making it a 39 card deck, really increasing that consistency. So that's all the spells. Like I said, the vast majority of the main deck is honestly the same. It's really just kind of including stuff for the Dragoon engine. Traps. Every Dark Magician player's favorite and least favorite trap, Eternal Soul. Bring back your Dark Magician, protects your Dark Magician. Can create a nice little lock with one of your other fusion monsters we play. So, standard stuff. Every deck runs it. You can cut it to 2. I still like it at 3, but, I know some people like it at 2 and really don't ever want to run 3 anymore. The new trap, Destined Rivals. As you probably saw in my video, my last one I made, hyping this card up a little bit, I still do think it's a very solid card. You really don't need it as more of a 1-of. I know I've seen some people say, run at 2. You do not need it at 2. You want to be able to search this card. You really don't want to have, it draw in your hand, take up like a resource of another card could have been. And in worst case, you draw both of them. But it's a really good card, just being able to basically skill drain your opponent for the turn. And of course, still sticking with the impermanence, we still do run the Dark Magicians. Being able to set this on your turn or your opponent's turn with the draw effect of the Dark Magicians, just being able to use it as like a Veiler effect on your opponent. If you do happen to go second, it's obviously the great card that we all know Impermanence is, and it's probably never leaving this deck anytime soon. So moving on to the extra deck, obviously this is where the biggest changes are coming from. We all knew it was coming. Big Boy, Red Eyes, Dark Dragoon, and these 2 fusions from previous iterations. These are hands down the 3 best Dark Magician fusions and should be ran at least 1 in every single deck. Shoutouts though to Dark Paladin. I still think that card's really good. If there was an easier way to bring him out without having to use Buster Blader or like Ayatamias, he's still really solid, but because he's, tougher to bring out, these are the 3 best Dark Magician fusions, and they all bring what this deck needs. You have, obviously, Dragoon being your negate, your, raid boss monster. This card, obviously, is incredible. You already all know what it does. The Dark Magicians, it gets you your draw power. Super easy to go into, considering I think all but the Phantasme and the Blue Boy are, dark spellcasters and stuff. But I mean, it's just a spellcaster, so it's really pretty much just all of the Red Eyes and the Phantasme. And obviously Dark Magician Dragon Knight, he just will protect your whole back row, which, you know, Dark Magician kind of lives and dies by. So obviously these are the 3 best fusions. You can run Red Eyes Dark Dragoon at more than 1. I don't really think you need to. I've played around with 2 before, and only rarely do I ever go into 2. You can, because obviously you can use the Secrets of Dark Magic with maybe a Phantasma and a Dark Magician, fuse them to bring out Dragoon, then maybe have some cards already on board, and then you go into the Anaconda and you bring out another Dragoon with Red Eyes Fusion. But honestly, the fact that both Red Eyes Dark Dragoon and Dark Magician the Dragon Knight require a Dark Magician and a Dragon, I kind of actually like bringing out both of them if I'm put in that position, because now your back row is protected, you know, you have your negate, you just have this really strong lock that I honestly think that these 2 combined are really stronger than just the 2 Dragoons. That's me personally, though. Just like the 3 fusions, running 3 XCs, you know, I would say these are probably the best rank 7 XCs. You know, Ebon Illusion Magician, being able to bring out a Dark Magician from your deck, being able to banish stuff when your normal spellcaster monster attacks. Big Eye, obviously, taking your opponent's monsters, that's always super handy. And Red Eyes Flare Metal Dragon, just because it's just that kind of handy little card. Maybe your opponent's low on life, maybe, you know, you're about to hit end of match, and you know you can kind of just burn that little bit of extra with this card. These are more just kind of utility. You don't go into them nearly as much as the fusions, but when you do need them, you are happy that you included them. And I mean, if you're playing Red Eyes, you have to play Flare Metal Dragon. They just need each other that way. But obviously the biggest inclusions are links. I run 3 link ones, being Link Spider, Relinquished Anima, and like I mentioned before, Imduck. Imduck's really only here just because it's a dragon effect monster if you need to go into Dragoon. It happens sometimes. Relinquished Anima, you know, just because all it is just a level 1 monster, so there are times when you can just summon out your Magician Souls, use its whole effects, and then just go into Anima, take something of your opponent's. It happens. And Link Spider is just there because in order to go into Anaconda, you need 2 effect monsters. So if you do have a Dark Magician on board, Link Spider is really just kind of there to turn that Dark Magician essentially into an effect monster for the slot for the summoning requirement of Anaconda. As far as the other level 2 or Link 2s, we run obviously the Crowley, like I mentioned before, since I still do run the Spellbook engine, and Nightmare Phoenix, you know, popping spells and traps. Run the other Nightmare, being Unicorn, spinning monsters. And the last links I play are the Selene, and for now the Appaloosa. I would run the Access Code Talker, but I don't actually have that card right now, so it's kind of just Appaloosa's taking that place for now. But if you do have that card, I'd recommend running that one over her. But, you know, Selene being able to just bring out a spellcaster, a good chunk of your deck is spells, so you will have the required spell counters for her effect. And, you know, just Appaloosa for now just being the negates. But, you know, you don't go into these as much. Most of these are just utility. But that's my deck. I've been playtesting it, obviously, before we actually got the card, and I really like what I have here. I've made maybe a couple little changes throughout, but overall, I think this is the best version of it that I was playing. Anyway, I hope you guys liked the video. Still trying to work on that kind of Ritual Dark Magician build. I haven't really found a happy build I like with that yet, but once I do, I'll post that. And I'm actually working on another big project, so expect that sometime soon. But other than that, hope you guys liked the video. Have a good night.